Hey team, how's it going? My name's Jimmy. This is episode 1 of the Beginner Rider series. I want to welcome you all here, and today we're going to be talking about what it means to be the weightless rider. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are. I have the Honda CRF300L Rally, and we're going to be going over a key principle that applies to any terrain concept and is going to be a great spot to kickstart our foundation of off-road motorcycle riding. I got the CRF 2 weeks ago, so I've had 2 weeks to learn some off-road skills, and I wanted to walk through some of the considerations I have, especially as a new rider. One of the most important things, as we mentioned, was being the weightless rider. So what does that actually mean? What it means is that my body is referenced and in tune to where the motorcycle is at all times. So your bike has a defined center of mass. That center of mass is going to shift depending on the terrain, whether it's downhill, uphill, gravel, mud, sand. The traction changes, causing a shift in the mass of the bike. You're there to anticipate and predict that motion. That's what being the weightless rider is. It's an anticipation that you know what's coming ahead on the road, and your body, you're not correcting that. You're focused on the controls and the road ahead. You're always referenced, and you don't need to look at your bike. So the big part about being the weightless rider is being comfortable with the motorcycle. So I'm gonna go real quick and show you guys how I'm developing that initial comfort level with the bike. Okay team, so let's work through the first exercise that's gonna make us the weightless rider. So we have our bike on a nice level surface. We have our kickstand up, she's good stationary. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run through mounting and dismounting on the Rally. So in the mind of the weightless rider, I'm not looking at my controls as I'm getting on the bike. I'm maintaining my front sight focus down the trail, and that's gonna lend me to getting on the bike much quicker and to not run the risk of falling over because I'm looking down at the foot peg. So here we go. We're gonna look straight. We're gonna maintain a neutral position. I have my foot on the peg, so I didn't have to look at that. I can find the foot peg. Go ahead, run through that a couple times, then you're gonna reach forward to the bar, front sight focus, reach over, and other side, find the peg. Once you do that, shift her over, and you're gonna plant your right foot down, and then bring the left foot down. So now that we're right here, we didn't have to look at our controls when we did that. We're gonna now find our kickstand. So looking forward, we're gonna work her back. So she's up, we're good to go. Nice balance seated, we're loose on the bike. Now we're gonna put the kickstand back down. So here we go, boom. Repeat the process, stand up on the pegs and just reverse it, and you're good to go. You know you're gonna work this because you're familiar with the bike. So the weightless rider isn't gonna be looking at the bike all day. He'll know all the control references. So here we go, stand up, boom, boom, carry over, shifter, foot down, and kickstand back, we're good to go. So as we're seated in a nice balanced position, we're looking down the trail, we're gonna have our hands nice on the bars, and now we're gonna work the range of motion on the bike. So here we go. We're gonna tilt the bike to the left, keep our body to the right. We're gonna tilt the bike to the right, keep our body on the left. Why are we doing this? Because I'm maintaining my center of mass to counteract the tilt on the bike. This means that when you're on a trail and your bike starts falling over, you're not putting so much pressure on your boot that's gonna run the risk of snapping your ankle. So that being the weightless rider is gonna mitigate the risk of when you plant your foot and putting too much pressure on the joint. So go ahead, tilt her, nice, find the range of motion. Here we go. And bring her back to center, nice and loose. So now that we're in a nice comfortable position, we've shifted the bike, we got a good range. Go ahead and fully lock your handlebar and maintain your balance. So shift left, boom. Shift right, boom, here we go. It's not throwing me off. If I'm torquing, I might fall over if I'm not being the weightless rider. No matter what my hands do, no matter what they're dealing with on the trail, I know that my body's positioned well, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to look at my hands and be like, what am I doing here? Because if you keep looking at it, you're gonna fall down, and that's not gonna work out well for you. So front sight focus, bar shifting, not a big deal. Same thing goes for when you're looking around the bike. So go ahead, look all the way to the left, and if you want to look more, put your foot up and turn your hips. So I'm turning my hip to look all the way back. I'm not falling over. I'm doing the range of motion. We'll do the other side. Foot down, right foot on the peg. Now I'm looking back. So I just did the full range of motion and my hands were on those bars. So once you're at that point, go ahead and take your hand slowly off the bar and you're gonna shift the bike just a little bit. Now we're not using the handlebar. Now we're gonna go ahead and shift our body without using any of the controls. Why? Because we're the weightless rider. We don't need that. We already have a great reference to the bike. So the next piece is this. Once you're familiar, hands on, find that kickstand, put her down. Now we're in a nice kickstand position. It's not gonna slip, we're on sturdy ground. We're gonna have our hands lightly on the bar, put our balls of the feet on the kickstand, and now we're gonna put our knees on the tank and we're gonna come up. So go ahead, practice from seating to the stand position with the knees gripped on the tank, arms are nice and loose. So I'm not looking at my controls and I'm finding working the range of motion. So all the way back to standing forward, coming all the way back. Once you work that whole range of motion nice and comfortable, what you're gonna end up doing is stand up without the bar, and you're gonna turn your body all the way, and you're gonna maintain reference. So no matter what, you're a balanced rider, go ahead and work coming up, standing up, and sitting back down. So that's gonna be important because as we're looking to ride on the trail, we're on aggressive off-road, we're gonna be standing up on the bike nice and tall, loose. And when we end up going downhill, it's a totally different dynamic where we're gonna start sliding back on the bike. We're gonna have our foot on the rear brake, and it's gonna be an intricate process. Now that's gonna be another episode, but just know that building weightless rider and being referenced to the controls without looking is going to be a big deal for you guys. So team, we're building our familiarization with the bike controls, different seating positions, and what we're now going to do is understand that when we're coming up on the bike, the most control we have is when our balls of our feet are on the pegs, we're looking down on the trail, our hands are referenced to the controls on the bar as well as the feet, and we're standing up in an aggressive rider stance. So we're nice and nimble on the bike. The lower we sit on the bike, the more susceptible we're gonna be to any terrain shifts. So if I'm on seated position, I'm going slow, my bar's gonna shift a lot more. But because I'm not going that fast, I'm not gonna have the inertia to help me keep going straight. I'm gonna be more susceptible to my front fork shifting, and my body's gonna have to mitigate that. Now it's not a big deal. Being the weightless rider, just go ahead and practice being at idle, going nice and slow, and we're gonna go through that right now. Okay team, so we're at this outdoor field. We have some patches of mud, some generally bumpy surfaces, but it's not too aggressive. So this is gonna be the perfect foundation of being the weightless rider. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep our bike at idle. We're gonna practice sitting, which is actually gonna be a tougher position than if we were standing. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna understand our bar is gonna shift because we're on bumpy terrain, but that's okay. Maintain our front sight focus, our body in tune with the bike, and just let your hands shift. Don't gridlock it. Just keep it nice and smooth and you're gonna develop that balance. So let's get started. Let's just loop around. It doesn't have to be too concrete. You're gonna learn by doing it. So let's go. So as we're going, you're going to maintain your reference to the throttle. So if you feel like it's escaping you, keep your front sight focus and give a little bit of throttle. That's going to really help out, especially as you're going idle. So don't just take it easy, and when you need throttle, use it. Other than that, practice going as idle as you can, because that's going to increase your balance. Practice your turns. I'm not looking at my controls, I'm looking ahead. Down to clutch in, brake, turn. Keep front sight focus down the trail. Ruts, okay. Alright guys, if you enjoyed that, you enjoyed being the weightless rider, I appreciate you guys. I was keeping things at an elementary level, so we're just putting the building blocks in to get better every day. And I appreciate everybody's support. So in the future, we're gonna look forward to how we're going uphill, downhill, and working other mechanics to be a better rider. So I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. Peace.